The new 2021 iMac is finally here. The unique design is refreshing, and its performance is tried and true through the development of the capabilities of the M1 chip since its release last fall. And on top of all of that, we have a new webcam, new speakers, new display, new color matching accessories. We're going to cover everything in today's 2021 M1 iMac review. Before we dive into my review, this video is sponsored by CleanMyMacX. It's an all-in-one package to make your Mac run as good as new. It cleans tons of junk and makes your computer run faster, just like it did the day you bought it. With the click of just one button, it scans for unnecessary junk, malware, and virus threats, and performs system tasks to speed up your computer right away. It also has extra tools, and one of my favorites is the uninstaller. It does a better job of removing an entire application from your Mac, ensuring no leftover associated files will take up hard drive space. I've been using CleanMyMac for a very long time now and I love it. So if you guys are interested, there will be a link in the description down below to download CleanMyMac today. The new design of the iMac is polarizing. You either love it or you hate it. However, I do think we can agree on a few things. The new display, or I should just say the entire computer, is exactly 11.5 millimeters thick, which is an impressive feat of engineering. The rotating hinge for the display is very elegant and smooth. It was a nice touch from Apple to color match all of the accessories you get, all the way down to the theme of macOS to the exact color of the iMac you purchased. Those are all universally good things in my opinion, but I think where us as consumers, where we all can't seem to agree on, is the big chin and the white bezels. After owning this device for about a week now, I can confidently tell you that the iMac in the pictures versus the iMac that you see in person are two completely different experiences. I don't mind the chin at all. I think it uniquely tells everybody that this is an iMac. Without the chin, it would be very unrecognizable and it would just look like any other generic monitor in my opinion. As for the white bezels, I'm in the camp of actually loving the fact that Apple put white bezels on this and not black bezels, because my computer now blends beautifully in my white walled home. We all have to remember that this product is geared towards everyday users and professionals that want to integrate a computer into their open living space of their home. Just take a look at the commercials for the iMac. There isn't a single point in that commercial where the iMac is tucked away in an office. It's always out in the open in somebody's home. I know for me, I've actually always wanted something like this. If you've even looked at my old videos, I've had a black monitor on this kitchen island for weeks now, and it always just sort of felt out of place. I love the fact that I now have this beautiful computer on my island that blends so well that it just literally looks like an artistic piece of furniture at this point, given how unique and thin the design is. As for the display, most people's primary concern with it is whether or not it would be too small, given that it's only 24 inches in size. I'm the perfect candidate for this dilemma, as I've actually been using a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor for the past 12 months, and let me tell you, I don't miss that monitor at all after switching to the smaller 24-inch monitor on the iMac. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, having a huge display like the one that I had, a 34-inch monitor, almost makes you want to have multiple windows open just for the sake of multitasking. I think the 24-inch display on the iMac is actually the perfect size for productivity. It's more than enough room to focus on the single task that you have at hand. And you also have to remember, this is a 4.5K resolution display. That's a ton of pixels to give you the ability to have at least two full screen windows open if you really have to do two things at the same time. I primarily video edit on my iMac, and I can tell you with video editing, we want all the screen space we can get, especially when you have really long timelines. And I have had no issues with working on a 24-inch display that the iMac has to offer. So outside of these concerns, the 4.5K resolution display is absolutely beautiful to look at. To be honest, this is actually the highest resolution display I've ever used, and I think a lot of you will say the same thing if you go ahead and pick one of these up. The colors pop, the text is extremely sharp, and it does feature Apple's True Tone technology, so the display can adapt to the lighting conditions in your room. Me personally, I don't even think I could go back to my 34-inch monitor because This display is so high res that it's hard to want to give that up. I just want to pause the video for just a moment. If you guys are enjoying this video, please do drop a like down below and subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. You guys have no idea how far a like and subscription goes into helping me produce videos here every single week. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive right back into the review. The new iMac also does feature a new webcam, which you're witnessing right now. It's a 1080p webcam using the power of the M1 chip and the signal processor to give you this image that you're seeing here on the screen. Everyone that I've called on FaceTime has been thoroughly impressed with just how crisp and clean I look in comparison to the webcam on my MacBook Air. It doesn't stop there. Apple did put a pretty decent set of microphones into this computer, so it's perfect for video calls and meetings, and it's even okay to use for like podcasting or live streams. I don't think I would have a problem using this. It gets the job done in my opinion. Now I want to talk about the speakers. They're actually pretty good and much better than I expected. It sports a 6-speaker sound system and it does an okay job filling the room that it's in. For comparison's sake, it's nowhere near as good as Apple's HomePod Mini, but it does get the job done. Listening to music and watching movies on the iMac, the audio is pretty crisp in my opinion. A note about bass though is that the bass is pretty weak, to be honest, but that's to be expected. If Apple put a bass heavy speaker in there, all those vibrations would probably cause harm to the components in the computer. Something that I do love, and that it's a huge win and incentive to watch movies on the iMac, is that these speakers support Dolby Atmos. So you'll be able to get a pretty good theatrical type of audio experience like right in front of you on your desk when you watch any Dolby Atmos enabled content on Netflix, Disney Plus, or whatever streaming platform you use. Now I want to talk about the new Magic Keyboard and the Magic Mouse. The Magic Keyboard, first of all, looks great. It's color matched perfectly to my iMac, and pressing each individual key as you're typing is very clicky, very responsive. It is far better than a lot of keyboards that I've tested in terms of the actual key travel and the responsiveness of it on macOS. But that doesn't mean that this is the most comfortable keyboard in my opinion. This isn't something that I would use for long hours of a stretch because your hand just kind of strain a little bit given how tiny it is, and there's no ergonomics to this keyboard at all. And I would recommend either using a wrist rest or just avoiding typing for super long periods of time. I personally found my hands to strain and my wrist to hurt a bit after over 8 hours of being behind the keyboard. And yes, Touch ID is here on the keyboard and I love it. It makes getting into your desktop Mac so much faster, and it's super convenient to use when you want to make online purchases with Apple Pay. However, I'm not going to let Apple off the hook here. I find it extremely disappointing that they didn't put Face ID on the iMac. Because when you think about it, iMacs are the kind of computers people buy and keep for at least 5 to 10 years. Without Face ID built into this computer, it's going to show its age a lot sooner, especially because we're all so used to Face ID on our iPhones. And let's just take a moment now and imagine this. Imagine walking up to your iMac, not even touching anything, and the camera there recognizes your face with Face ID and it just summoned itself into macOS. That would feel magical. That kind of magic Apple had an opportunity to capitalize on, but for whatever reason, they decided not to, and I find that extremely disappointing. As for the Magic Mouse, I've actually never owned or used one before, and I have mixed opinions about it. This mouse has to be one of the most unergonomic mouses I've ever seen, and the way that you charge this mouse is honestly very comical, and it's even a meme, I feel like, at this point. However, I did say I had mixed opinions. The good opinions I have about this mouse is that this is by far the most smoothest Bluetooth mouse experience I've ever had on an M1 Mac. I have had zero latency issues. I have had zero drop-off connections. It is buttery smooth, as smooth as using a trackpad on my MacBook Air. The same cannot be said with third-party mouses via Bluetooth with my M1 Max, such as my Logitech MX Master 3 mouse. That thing is great. I love the form factor, but my goodness, that thing just lags all the time on Bluetooth, at least enough times to annoy me. And even if you use the included USB receiver, it's still just not as smooth as the Magic Mouse. So that's it with the accessories talk. Let's now talk about the M1 chip. I feel like at this point, when it comes to the M1 chip and its performance, I'm a broken record on this YouTube channel. This is hands down Apple's most powerful chip that they've ever made. It gave the MacBook Air and the Mac Mini new levels of performance that far exceed the price that you pay for it, and the same is true with the new iMacs. The iMac goes from sleep to wake almost instantly, apps open instantaneously. It's just buttery smooth to navigate Mac OS with the M1 chip. And when we also consider the fact for who this computer is for, which is mostly the everyday computer user, the performance that this computer packs far exceeds the needs that they will probably have for this computer. And what about professionals? I think the M1 chip still packs a lot of power that might satisfy a lot of professional workflows. For me, in my professional work, the M1 chip in the iMac has been perfect for video editing on Final Cut Pro, as well as doing a lot of light photo editing for the thumbnails you see here on the channel via Adobe Photoshop. This is my main video editing computer moving forward, and I mean, I've been using the M1 chip to power this YouTube channel for the last few months, and I've just been pleasantly pleased from beginning to end with this performance. What I will say though is that this isn't like the end-all be-all chip. Like, we need to also come back to reality here. If you need more graphical capabilities or more RAM options, the M1 chip is still very limited in that sense. So if that's you, I would probably wait and see what Apple has in store with their new M1X chips or M2 chips, as those are looking to be very promising, powerful computers. And to top all of this off, the Apple ecosystem integrations by buying the new iMac is real. Depending on how deep you are in the Apple ecosystem, this new iMac is killer, and I'm gonna give you a few examples. For me, my favorite thing to do is to use my iMac as a third speaker in my HomePod mini setup in my kitchen and living room area. It adds a nice layer of sound and dimension to the speakers I have around the room, and it just makes the sound here even more room filling than it already was, thanks to the iMac. Another niche thing is that I actually love screen mirroring my Mac to my Apple TV when I need to, and it's super easy to do it on the iMac, and it definitely helps with the fact that my iMac is 4.5K resolution, and I'm screen mirroring to a 4K TV, so it's just one-to-one, there's no resolution issues, it just works seamlessly. And we also cannot ignore the things that we already love, which are things like iMessage, AirDrop, being able to take phone calls directly from your iMac. The list goes on and on and on. Overall, the 2021 iMac is a win. In my eyes, it fully meets the expectations of what it was intended to be, which is an all-in-one desktop experience for people who want to integrate a computer into their open living space of their home. With a beautiful design, stunning display, great speakers, great webcam, and a performance that punches way higher than the needs of the people who are probably gonna be buying this computer, it's a future-proofed package where someone's gonna be happy to own this for at least the next 5 years. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please do drop a like if you enjoyed, and comment down below #iMac if you finished the video. I'm gonna heart and respond just to you for being a trooper to making it to the end. And subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. We are on our road to 15,000 subscribers. You guys have no idea how a like and subscription goes such a long way in helping me make more videos for the channel. But anyways, I'll catch you guys all in another video later this week. Peace.